Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Mike Calvo, and I'm so happy that he said yes to our episode. How are you doing today?
Hello, Caroline. I'm doing so well. Welcome and thank you for bringing me on. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Oh, me too. And I would love to introduce you to the audience. Of course, you are a motivational speaker and blind entrepreneur who captivates audiences with his compelling storytelling and authentic presence. Having navigated the challenges of living with a disability, Mike draws on his experiences as the CEO, advocate, and family man to provide profound insights and inspiration. His unique perspective empowers others to overcome adversity and achieve success. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Mike Calvo.
Wow, captivating. I don't know. I hope to live up to that.
Yes, of course. Let's do this. How has your experience as a blind entrepreneur shaped your approach to leadership and business?
I think that look, going back a little bit, I started my own businesses because as a blind person, I found that it was very difficult to find a job. Right now, in the latest statistic, and it was quite disappointing. I heard actually about 3 days ago from a gentleman out in the UK was that worldwide you're looking at about a 76% unemployment rate amongst the visually impaired.
Mhm.
So I figured, well, then if that's the case, really, then I might as well kind of have a shot at my own thing. Because if not, I'm going to just be spinning my wheels trying to get somebody else to hire me for, a mediocre job. That was then, obviously. This is many years ago. The world, I think, has changed. I think that we're in a society, in a world of much more open thinking, of diversity and inclusion, and all that good stuff. So I think that the world is a lot more ready today than it was when, say, I started in the job market, to open its mind and its hearts, and just the possibility that as a person with a disability, I do things differently, but I still get stuff done. So, and I think that has kind of contributed to me opening the companies I have and working with the groups that I have to kind of make the world a better place.
Yes, I understand. Let's make the world a better place. I totally agree. And I didn't know about that. 76% are, you said unemployed, right?
That's correct. If there was a,
Mhm.
if there was a, I mean, and right now, like here in the US, we're at a 4.2 unemployment rate. If we go any higher, I mean, if you go 2/10 of a percentage, let's say it became a 4.5 or a 4.6 or a 4.4 even, the stock market would drop. People would be talking recession. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm dealing and so what I'm saying here is that 95 point excuse me, 95.8 of people in America are employed.
Yeah.
You see, so compared to 24 point, you know, 24% of my community, or I'm sorry, 26% of my community. So that is a 74% unemployment rate. My math is I just had coffee. So,
Yeah, that's great.
but the numbers are astounding, and they really, you know, for me the sad thing is, Caroline, that when I got into doing software, where I've been living in for the last 2 decades, 2.5 decades, is producing software for visually impaired people. I said, oh, you know what the problem is? I mean, technology, man. I mean, when as Americans, when we have a problem, we figure technology will fix it, right? So
Yes.
nope, that rate has literally not changed according to this reference I heard a couple days ago in the last 6 decades. So we're kind of stuck between that, and amongst totally blind people like myself, you're looking at an 85% unemployment rate. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Braille literacy, which is, the
Mhm.
ability for people to read Braille. There's less Braille teachers today than there were way back. And of course, because we have computers that talk now, everybody thinks, well, you don't need to learn to read. It's kind of like, when they told me my kids didn't need to learn to write because they could be using computers. It's like, what? Of course they need to learn. What if there's not a computer there? What if they need to jot something down on a piece of paper? So technology, while important, is not the great equalizer that unfortunately I naively thought it was when I was first, looking at the unemployment numbers.
Yeah, I understand. And I was not aware of that. So thank you so much for sharing. Now I have a better image of that, and we can also transport the message. Of course, you are an entrepreneur. You are not employed, right?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not
Mhm.
employed in a conventional sense. No, I work. I build companies and work to run them. But I am not. Technically, I'm not employed. I couldn't go if my companies failed tomorrow. Any of my companies failed tomorrow. Anything I was doing failed tomorrow. I couldn't go get a job even at McDonald's to go get a job and pay my and feed my family. And I have 5 kids. They're all grown now. So, but imagine a world where for me as an entrepreneur, every day I wake up, it's like, okay, if I don't make money today, I got trouble. And it's
Yeah.
not because it's not like, I mean, if you spend your life building a business, nobody wants to see it fail.
Mm.
Boy, it gets really motivational when you're like, if it fails, I got to live on the street. I got to live in a box, because, and I can't feed my kids because there's nobody going to hire a blind guy to even cut lettuce at a restaurant or wash dishes or do whatever because of the level of social ignorance that we deal with in our community. And I'm not complaining. I'm really, I'm not. I'm telling you a story. So, I mean, I've come to terms with these things, and at my, when I was younger, I was much angrier about it than I am today. Today, I really want to be a part of the solution, not just complaining about the problem, if that makes sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense. So thank you so much for encouraging me as well. And what you said about entrepreneurship. So there is no plan B, right? You said when you fail today, then where do you live tomorrow?
It kind of gives you it's exciting if you're an adrenaline junkie.
Mm.
Um, but it also really helps. It gives you moments to think, and that's where I think that the public speaking thing has really helped because people say, well, what do you bring to the table? What makes you so special? You're a dropout of high school, which I am. You have no formal education, which I don't. But what do you bring? I said, well, I bring a lot of experience, a lot of time in my head, a lot of time working with other people, a lot of insight into, the world gives me every excuse in the world to not do anything, just to sit on my butt, and do nothing. And I could gladly sit there and do that. And nobody would think twice about it. Oh, well, he's a poor blind guy, whatever. I refuse to do that. So my question to the listener, my question is, hey, what is the thing that's burning a hole in your heart? Oh my goodness, I want to so much do that. Is the reason you're not doing it an excuse, or is the reason you're not doing it a real reason? And that really helps. It's that line of thinking has helped me so many times in my life saying, hey Mikey, are you making excuses, or is there a legitimate reason? I mean, if I, if somebody came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, Delta is hiring new airline pilots, and I think you should go to, to pilot school and learn how to fly a plane," I can legitimately say, I don't think that's good. I don't think I get a number of reasons why Delta would not hire me. However, for that person out there who does have their eyes, does have, the ability to see, isn't and has everything together, just hasn't gone to school, oh, I can't, I don't have time, too busy, life is too busy, and this no, those are excuses. Those
Mhm.
are excuses. When you legitimately cannot do something because of a physical limitation and not make up for, I mean, I know blind people, believe it or not, that do that fly, they use Flight Simulator, the game for the computer, to fly
Mhm.
planes. And that's great. And I'd love to play with that person, but I would never get in a plane flown by one.
Oh, of course, no.
So
No.
So their situation is truly a reason and not an excuse, and that's kind of where I feel that the other challenge that we have is is political correctness. I think political correctness has done more harm than good. Because if we feel that because of politically correct language, we can't ask a question or we don't have the words. If you've never dealt with a blind person in your life and they're talking about the latest movie that
Yeah.
was playing in the theater, are you going to embarrass yourself by walking up to them and say, "You saw that movie?" Or are you going to embarrass yourself by walking up and say, "Oh, did you hear that movie?" Or are you just going to say, "Wow, that's a great movie." It's politically correct language has ruined many, many great opportunities for communication. Because I tell people I saw that movie all the time. And, hey, they don't work. The eyeballs don't work. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to learn a whole new language to talk to me, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. If there's something you don't know, how do you do that? Oh my gosh, I see you have a really, a nice pair of shoes. Are those the only shoes that you have of that brand? And I know this because I have a couple of different pairs of shoes that are the same brand but different colors, you know.
Yeah.
And they say, "Well, how do you know? How do you know which ones?" And I have inside the tongue of the shoe, I have a little label that says BL for black and BR for brown. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying? But you'd never know that,
yes.
if I didn't tell you, you know? There's other ways I can do it. I can use my phone to tell me my colors of, the shoes. I have a pair of, Meta glasses, which I can use to take pictures of things and use AI to read stuff, or I can ask my beautiful wife, "Baby, what color shoes are these?" Or she could say, "Mikey, those are the wrong shoes. Go put on the right ones." "Yes,
Oh,
ma'am," and go put on my shoes.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Of course, I have another question. What
Of
is
course.
the most significant lesson you've learned from overcoming personal and professional challenges?
That obviously within reason. The two words that I have formed my life around are saying, "I can't." That those two words do not exist in my vocabulary. I can't. I can't.
Mhm.
Because if you and I tell people when they come to work, with me at one of my companies, "Listen, we have very few rules. But the one rule that we have here is don't ever come to me and say, 'I can't,' because that's the day you got to clean out your desk and you got to go.
Oh,
You know, I don't know if I can. I think it's challenging. You've given me more than I think I can handle. All that stuff I can deal with, but I'm the boss. And unless I'm telling you to go rob a bank or I'm telling you to go do,
yeah.
go steal something or go do something illegal, I believe that as the leader of the company, I kind of have a pretty good idea of what you're capable of. It might stretch you, in which case, if you don't want to be stretched and you want to say, "I can't," see you later. We got no need for you, you know. But if I'm leading this thing, we've talked, I've seen your resume, I've seen your education, I've dealt with you on a day-to-day basis, and I say, "Hey, Carolyn, would I got a new client and I really think that you and this client would get along, your background, all of that. Oh, I don't know. I've never done a face to face. Well, come on, let's practice. No, I'll be the client. We could do that. Or, oh no, Mike, I can't. I can't. Why? Oh, just because I can't. Well, then you got to go because I really need you right now. And if we go through the process of doing the pretend thing or whatever it takes for you to feel more comfortable with what I'm asking you to do. And and you yourself might find, wow, I didn't think I could do this. Oh, wow. Thanks, Mike. I really for pushing me because I didn't realize that I could do that. So that's what I've learned is push those boundaries, not in a derogatory way, not in a negative way, not with making people feel bad, but do confront people. We're again, we're back in a world where political correctness, lack of confrontation, lack of transparency is just it's a bad thing these days, unless it looks good on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and we're not living our best life that way, then we can't be real with people. And I think that we need to be real.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing. I never saw it that way. When you talk, I know this like I remember the story in Shared in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill about Henry Ford. Was it like he told his engineers, or also Steve Jobs, he said, give me or build a phone without buttons, and the people that say we can, they had to leave, right? It's
Yeah.
the same story that what you applied, and I forgot about that. Of course, you are the boss when you are the company owner. You hire people and you tell them what to do, and when they refuse, so to say, then you said they can clean their desk, and I love that expression. I never heard this before, but I can translate it. Of course, it makes sense. Wow, thank you so much. I learned something. How do you use storytelling to connect with and inspire your audience?
So I love telling stories. I'm a natural born kind of storyteller. By the way, I got to go back and say I love Napoleon Hill. Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Think and Grow Rich is probably his most popular book, but Grow Rich with Peace of Mind was truly one of the pivotal books in my life as a young entrepreneur because anything the mind can achieve, the body can conceive. And I've extended that by saying, we have a creator that gave us the ability to dream, and if you can dream it, you can do it. If you have enough time and resources, there was a great man in the Bible named Abraham, and
Yeah.
he had a vision of a nation that he never lived to see, but that is the nation of Israel today. And I believe very much in the power of our ability to create. As we were created, we can dream, we can think, the ability to motivate people. I think that storytelling helps us kind of relate. It helps us get on the same page with things. Um, I tell people frequently the story of a young man named Tom Sawyer, who spent his Saturday. He wanted to go fishing, but he had to paint the fence outside his house. So he went out there and he's painting the fence. And one kid comes along and says, "What you doing, Tom?" He says, "Oh, I'm painting this fence." He says, "Oh man, I'm going fishing." Tom says, "Oh, okay, you go ahead. I'm here having a great time painting this fence." Painting this fence. Kid comes back, says, "Wow, you look like you're having a great time. Can I paint the fence too?" He's like, "Nope, can't paint this fence." Says, "Well, I'll give you a quarter." Tom says, "All right, no problem." By the middle of that afternoon, Tom had a majority of his friends painting that fence, and Tom was sitting back supervising. And everybody had paid him because they caught the vision of that fence being completed. Everybody wanted to be a part of that vision. And Tom just delegated and led, and was, as the visionary, was able to motivate other people to do that. And that is kind of the way that's the way I lead. I get people to buy into the vision. It doesn't do me any good if you say, "Hey, Mike, you have a great vision. I like it. You're paying me for it, so I'm going to complete it." No, no, no. The fact that you get paid is kind of, that's kind of the cherry on top. The fact that we have a vision together, that I have been able to share this vision with you, and you said, "Wow, man, that resonates with me, and I want that for this world. I want that for people here. I want that for our community." That's where storytelling really helps, when we can help people relate and make something their own by visualizing it.
Wow, I love that so much. Also, that you shared your vision. Also, it's my favorite story about Tom Sawyer. And I remember that at the end of the day, this fence was painted 3 times, right?
That's true. I'd never mentioned that. It's true.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
not only did the fence get done, but it got done
Yeah.
300% better than anybody thought it was going to get done.
Yes, everybody wanted to paint the fence, and then
Yep.
it was. done several times, and I love that. I didn't know about that he was supervisor, because I think maybe it was not the word in the book, or not in, I read it in the German version, of course, but we all know what is a supervisor now, and we can also transfer the story into the now time, because I think Tom Sawyer is like 200 years ago written 200 years, when there were slaves as well. There was how was it, his name, Jim.
Jim, oh yeah, and
Oh,
that bad word that they called him, the N word, which was very prevalent
yeah.
in that language. But Jim was not a slave though. Jim was just his
Oh,
friend.
oh,
At
yeah.
least we don't think so. We're never really kind of told if Jim was a slave or not at the time. But yeah, but he it was a different time. But you know the principles still definitely apply. That
Yes.
that's so awesome that it was in German. I love that.
Yeah, I love that story, the whole thing. And yeah, it's one of my favorite authors, Mark Twain. Of course, we have to mention the name. Everybody knows Mark Twain in the US, right?
Right.
But the book is amazing. So thank you so much. And I think my last question is about your goals. Do you set goals for yourself and intentions? And what is one of your next projects?
I think I think really one of the things yeah, of course, as entrepreneurs we have to set goals, and we also need to know when you're beating a dead horse, right? When you're when it's time to go.
Yeah, you have
And
to get off.
I tell people it's funny because so many people fall in love with their business, and the business is here to serve its stockholders, it's here to serve its customers, and it's here to and the fact that it has employees that need to be paid and all that stuff. I mean, that's important as well. If the business is not doing these things, then it needs to be eliminated and a new one needs to be started. Um, but many people fall in love with their businesses and just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it until they fail horribly at and when I say fail, that's the wrong word to use, because failure is not when something doesn't work out. Failure is just not doing it to begin with. When the business just falls on its face because it can't sustain itself. So to me, setting a goal, setting timelines, setting milestones, preparing, don't build the tower until you count the cost of building it. And then when you realize the cost of building it, always add a good 10 or 15, 20% just in case. And then go forward. But the main thing is to have a clear vision, and that clear vision doesn't have to be written in stone. It doesn't have to be permanent. It's definitely a starting point. Give yourself permission to change that vision. I tell people, you need to be like the bamboo. The bamboo, you can bend the bamboo all the way down. The bamboo standing straight, you can bend it all the way down to the floor to where it touches the floor. But the moment you let it go, boom, it jumps back up again and it's straight again. So wherever you need to bend that vision a little bit to make it fit, by all means, do it, but allow it to spring back to its original purpose. So that's kind of, and for me, I'm looking to speak to organizations that want to be inclusive, that want to hire blind people, that want to serve blind people as customers, just that are interested in looking at a group of people that they may have never thought about before, but that definitely have a lot to contribute to the workforce and to the world in general. We're moms, dads, lawyers, doctors, janitors, radio people. I mean, you name it, we have it in our community, except for airline pilots. We don't have those.
Yes.
But
Oh,
thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you so much. And also for mentioning all those professions. And I think I just got an idea to talk to our listeners now about please reach out to Mike. He's amazing. And I also think that you can help bring people and jobs together, I would say, right?
Well, yeah, I what I do is I go in and I do keynote addresses, I do seminars. Everything is at mikecalvo.com, MikeCalvo.com. And there's different talks that I give there, all kinds of different information. And if you have a family member, a friend, someone close to you that is dealing with a visual impairment and you just don't know where to turn, please feel free to write to me. I'm at mike@mikecalvo.com. I'm always here to serve, and if there's anything that we can do, please let us know.
Oh, thank you so much. This was amazing. I also wanted to ask where we can find you. You mentioned it. It will be in the show notes, of course. Thank you so much. And now is time for your last thoughts to the audience, please.
Oh wow, um, we've said so much, you know. So the takeaway, I think, is if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can put your mind to it, if you've got a vision, then go out there and do it. I tell people, lack of sight does not mean lack of vision. And, if you have a vision, and all of us have one, at least one, many of us have a number of them, go out and do it. Go out and do it because, if you run into something in your life, a challenge or a process, and you say, man, somebody should do something about this, and you don't do something about it and you have an idea how it can be fixed, you know what? You probably just missed a calling. Not my words, the words of a gentleman named Jim Stovall, who I heard speak years ago. And that really motivated me because I, I have ideas and I don't know how to complete them, but I know how to get people together. And I also believe in the power of just putting that out to the universe. Hey, however you do it, meditation, prayer, whatever, and that stuff will start coming. If it's your destiny, it's coming. So go look for that destiny.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm speechless now. And this was our podcast episode.
Thank you.
And see you in the next one.